the Punchline. I'm your comic strip critic. You know, I've complained a fair bit on the show about comics that I feel have overstayed their welcome. If someone, please, wants to tell me who the target audience is for the Kotzen genre kids in Gasoline Alley these days, I would love to know. But there are a number of comics that, I wish were still around. Of course, Calvin and Hobbes is still at the top of the list, and I would like to see Foxtrot run on Mondays through Saturdays and not just Sundays. And I still think that The Far Side could have stuck around for even a little longer. But all three of those comics had something in common. Their creators chose to end their strip, or to cut back on it, of their own free will. None of them were forced to end their strip because of outside circumstances. In fact, I can't think of many cartoonists who were forced to end their strip. I can't think of one, however. Richard Thompson and his work on Cul De Sac. Richard Thompson's work has been around even longer than I realized. I knew that Cul De Sac started syndication in 2007 under Andrews McMeel, but before that, Cul De Sac was running in the Washington Post as early as 2004. And even further back than that, Thompson had a weekly comic called Richard's Poor Almanac in 1997, which ended soon after Cul De Sac started. Thompson even won the Reuben Award for Outstanding Cartoonist of the Year for his work in 2010, and had his work praised by no less than Bill Watterson. That's an awful lot of praise for any comic to have, but a comic that was only around for 5 short years? In this industry, that's a comic that basically never even left its infancy, so the question needs to be asked. Let's take a look and find out. This is Cul De Sac. The main character of Cul De Sac is Alice Otterloop, a 4-year-old preschooler who I would normally describe as rambunctious if it were not for the fact that pretty much all 4-year-olds can be described as such. She might be the center of the strip, but she's surrounded by quite the colorful cast of characters. Her parents, Peter and Madeline... No, not that one. Her parents are pretty much normal overall, but her brother Petey is a delightful bunch of neurotic tendencies that... Excuse me? Do you mind? It's an efficient system. It's precise and orderly. Every character in the strip, from the rest of the Otterloop family to Alice and Petey's classmates and friends, are all visually distinctive. In fact, the comic itself is one of the most visually unique strips in the modern day. How do I put it? Okay, you know how often you can tell when a movie was made just by the stylistic choices and the cinematography and the music and things like that? Even if it takes place in the same setting and has the same basic broad character archetypes? Here's an example. Grease is very clearly a movie about the 1950s, even if it was filmed in 1978. The car, the greaser hairstyle, the musical styles, oh yeah baby, this was the 50s. The Breakfast Club, on the other hand, just reeks of the 1980s. The soundtrack, the fashion, oh dear lord the fashion, and again, the soundtrack. Don't you forget about me. And then there's Mean Girls. Do you really have to mess with me every chance you can? Very obviously a more modern movie with modern writing and fashions and characters, which will doubtlessly show its age as time progresses. These are all high school movies with female leads, but they're all very clear about when they're set because of the visual style. If you're looking for a simpler version of how a style can shift over time, then take a look at the James Bond franchise. It's Sean Connery and you know it. The point is, this shift in movie styles from past to present and who knows what we'll see in the future, those aren't limited to just movies. You can see stylistic changes in comic strips as well. These changes are not due so much to advances in technology like film, but in format. Comics of the World War eras were absolutely massive, and as such had a lot of fine detail because they had so much room to work with. Little Nemo, Prince Valiant, Crazy Cat, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, these were comics that were huge, and I mean that in the literal definition of the word. Okay, just to help illustrate exactly how much of a difference this is the Cul De Sac collection that features the comics I'm going to be talking about today, and it's a pretty standard format style for comic collections that are published today. You can fit either 3 daily strips or 2 Sunday strips in this, and it's a format that works pretty well. It's bigger than what the newspapers run them. By contrast, this is a Prince Valiant collection from 1937 to 1939. There is about 1 comic per page on this thing, and I'm pretty sure that these have been shrunk down from their original size. Look at the difference here. Yes, I have been trying to increase my knowledge of comics history. Thank you for noticing. As the comics pages got smaller and smaller over the years, the artwork got less detailed and sketchy in feel and more simple and bold. That's not a bad thing at all because comics like these exist and I wouldn't trade them for anything. However, it is a pretty noticeable shift in style. So why did I just spend all this time talking about how movie styles change over the decades? Because occasionally, something will come along that actively tries to emulate the styles of the past. Movies such as The Artist or the fan-made Call of Cthulhu movie. Or, in today's example, Cul De Sac. I can't say for certain if Richard Thompson was deliberately trying to invoke the older look and feel of classic comics, but the artwork in his strip feels vintage. There's a very sketchy, handcrafted feel to this that really reminds me of Crazy Cat. I admit I wasn't too sure what to think about this style when I first saw Cul De Sac, but over time, it really grew on me. Every single line is carefully crafted. There's something I really like about that. No copy-pasted artwork here, no sir. Okay, so I really like the artwork in Cul De Sac, but how does the writing hold up? Well, fortunately, Cul De Sac features a whole lot of storylines, so let's take a look at a month-long tale that debuted in 2009. This is the Outer Loop's vacation to the beach.
What's this stuff?
I'm cleaning out the beach bag. Look at all the old suntan lotion bottles.
Why are you cleaning out the beach bag?
Why do you think?
Because 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 we're going to the beach.
Right. Look at all the old sand.
Great facial expression on Alice in panel 4 as the realization slowly hits her. And I love the over-exaggeration of all the excess sand pouring from the bag. Then again, I've been to the beach. Sometimes there's so much sand in the car afterwards that I think Gara's been playing a prank on me.
Mom, have I been to the beach before?
Yes. Last year, remember? You made that big sand castle and played in the waves? And flew a kite shaped like a fish. And we played mini golf every night.
Did the place that we stayed at have a lamp with seashells in it?
Yes, I think it did.
That lamp was great. I love the beach.
I love Alice here. All those memorable, exciting things that Mom and Dad spent time and money on for the kids to enjoy? Nope. She remembers the lamp more than anything else. It's the kind of thing that seems like something a 4-year-old girl would do. It's hilarious. Child logic at its finest.
Child logic. Child logic.
Yes, child logic. Can we please just move on? So the Outer Loops go to the beach house, and oh my gosh, I love the houses so much. They're just this thrown together complex mass of stairs and roofs and shutters and windows. But you can see what I mean about Cul De Sac's sketchy nature here. These aren't perfectly straight lines drawn with a ruler. They wiggle and wobble. They're organic. I like that. It's unique among most of my favorite comics these days. Also, naming the beach house Geek's Neck? What does that even look like? I mean, what does that even mean? This beach house is named the Slipshod too. I wonder why. Is the whole place shaking? Maybe we shouldn't move around too much.
I've tried every switch in the house, and I can't get the ceiling fan to turn on.
Where's the ocean? Oh, is it on that other side of that giant swarm of gnats?
Single panel comic strips. I love these kinds of comics that show a single unbroken moment where the whole cast has a line. Foxtrot did a number of these as well, and they did them quite well, But cul-de-sacs feel very different, mostly because everyone has a different train of thought. Foxtrot's full-cast panels all had a clear thread linking everyone from one thought to the next with a clear flow. But the thoughts in cul-de-sac are a chaotic tangle of different ideas. I really like this. People in the real world aren't in a sitcom. They don't have a script in front of them. They bounce around from one thought to the other wildly. They don't always talk together perfectly in unison and in sync. And cul-de-sac's writing emulates that pretty well. It's a unique style among the comics that I read today. It's a unique take, and I think it's just funny as heck. Here comes a big wave. Ready? Uh-oh, it's getting close.
Ah! Hey! Daddy made my hat get wet.
I told you the ocean's a death trap. You know, Petey's not wrong. But the more interesting thing to see here is the water. Richard Thompson didn't use a regular pen or brush to achieve those distinctive lines. He used a musical staff pen. It's normally used to make blank music stabs, but apparently it can also be used to make some pretty sweet waves too.
Watch me hit it. Oops. Watch me hit it. Oops. Watch me hit it again.
Hurry up, Alice. People are lining up behind us.
Daddy's cranky because his head got too much sun today.
This hole will be more interesting if it had a windmill, a lava pit, and a giant robot with a baseball bat. I'm not cranky. Hurry up, Alice.
Watch me hit it now.
Mini golf is the only sport I like. The flow of time is pretty interesting in this comic, isn't it? Obviously, it's a straightforward left-to-right comic, but it's almost like that single-panel comic we had a little while ago. Peter and Alice skip straight from panel 1 to panel 3, almost like they slid behind panel 2. It's kind of curious, just where are they standing in panel 2? The left? The right? The Twilight Zone? Wonderland? Also, let's be honest, this is just a really unfair mini golf hole. How are you supposed to get a hole-in-one on that thing?
Time to pack up and go home, Alice.
What? No! No, 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 no! Yeah!
For heaven's sake, you scared the tide out. Say bye-bye, ocean.
I did? Bye-bye, ocean!
I don't think there's a voice actor alive that could do that scream justice, but darn it, we here at the Punchline at least had to try. So the Outer Loops head home, and on the way we get to see one of the best looking comic cows ever. Move over, Far Side. Get out of here, Daisy the drama cow. There's a new Dairy Queen in town.
Hey, Dill!
Alice, I missed you while you were away. Most days I came over and sat on your front step for hours on end.
It's kind of creepy yet sweet.
My brothers were trying out their new potato gun, and your house is out of range. I want that potato gun. I don't know why I want it, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I want it. So, that was the Outer Loops trip to the beach. How was it? It was pretty darn good. The art and writing are both really good in this comic. The art keeps that distinctive cul-de-sac look that helps it stand out so much, and the oddball writing is a really unique voice. The characters, the kids in particular, feel more like genuine kids with their odd thoughts and outbursts and non sequiturs than pretty much any other kids in the comics section. And yes, that includes Calvin and Phoebe. If you're looking for more cul-de-sac, there are a number of 30-second animated shorts on YouTube by the same team that animated Pearls Before Swine and Leo. These are okay, but I have to admit that I don't like these particular animations quite as well. A lot of the sketchy detail is lost in animation, and I admit this is entirely personal, but I just don't like this voice acting style. It's just too slow compared to how I imagined it. The Alice in my head is a hyperactive bundle of barely contained energy. This one is just kind of struggling to wake up. No, well, it's a personal choice, and it's really not that much of a deal breaker. So yeah, Cul De Sac was a great comic, and I wish it ran for more than 5 short years. Why did it only run for 5 years? Because Richard Thompson's Parkinson's disease grew to the point where it interfered with his work too much, and he had to stop. Yeah, well, this is kind of important here. Yes, Richard Thompson had to cut his cartooning career short because it was too hard for him to draw his characters anymore. He did hire an assistant to help ink the comic in its last few months, but he didn't want to hand it over completely. And so, Cul De Sac had to come to an early and unfair end. But there's some good news. Richard Thompson's friend, Chris Sparks, then took the opportunity to create Team Cul De Sac. Starting in 2010, Team Cul De Sac started raising money with the intent of funding Parkinson's research. A number of ever-increasing cartoonists created original artwork that was auctioned off, with the proceeds going towards that funding. Among these cartoonists were Stefan Pastis, Patrick McDonnell, Mason Mastroianni, Sergio Aragones, Pat Oliphant, Andrew Kavanaugh, Dave Kellett, and even Bill Watterson. In fact, Watterson has been very vocal in his support for Team Cul De Sac. When Richard Thompson created a compilation of his artwork, including political cartoons, caricatures, and more, Watterson helped compile it, wrote the introduction, and gave an interview for it along with 5 other cartoonists. If you're interested in seeing the final product, well, the art of Richard Thompson has been available since November. The team has done an admirable job in their efforts, raising over $200,000 in the past 5 years through charity auctions, sales of books, and straight-up donations. If you're going to be at Heroes Con this June, then that's when Team Cul De Sac's next big fundraiser is, so I highly encourage you to head on down and check it out. You can even donate artwork to be auctioned off while you're there. And there's going to be a lot of cartoonists attending the convention as well. If you'd rather not wait and just want to donate a couple of dollars right now, well then there's a link down in the description below, so I highly encourage you. Even just $1 helps. It is a genuine shame that a comic as good as Cul De Sac had to end so soon and so unfairly. But hopefully something good can come out of it. I'm your comic strip critic, and I read the funny pages in search of comics like these. Because you never know when they'll be gone.